Hello there. I've got something I wanted to post. I've got a cat in my lap, so there we go. Um, since my '80s hair metal post got so much attention last weekend, everybody talking about how great those times were, which they were. They were really cool. Um, and before I get blasted for using any kind of modern technology, which is become increasingly controversial between musicians and authors alike, of which I am both. But I wanted to put in my 2 cents and we'll say something about it. I wrote this book, all 760 pages of it. And this isn't even the whole thing. There's like a whole file full of deleted scenes, but they didn't really work. But I wrote this book. It took me 21 years to finish it. 21. And that was 20 years ago when I finished it. And I started when I was 16. I've done a blog about it. Everybody kind of knows it. Some people know about it. This is actually 2 books now. This is the second edition, and you can't get this anymore. I have unpublished this one because I have made it into 2 books. So this is kind of like the first volume, but the first 2 books are actually this one, and that's what's available on Amazon now. And there's also book number 3, and I'm working on book number 4 right now. And those are the ones to buy, the ones that are available on Amazon now, because I fixed most of the mistakes and the formatting is better. But this is mine now. With that in mind, I'm looking at my script over here. I know that I am perfectly capable of writing this by myself. All of this, every bit of it. Wrote it, edited, formatted, designed the cover, all of it. I did all that myself, and I'm sorry if this is wiggling because I've got it on kind of a lap desk thing. But this is all me. This was all me, every bit of it, and the other book, and the one I'm working on right now. Now, if you don't know anything about this book, it's about a rock band on tour in 1985. And when you write a story about a fictitious band, they have fictitious songs. So I always thought it would be so cool if I could actually create the songs that I talk about for this band that they created themselves. And with that in mind, here's this. I have at my disposal, pretty much at any time, and I'm lucky this way, I have access to some of the greatest musicians on the planet. I have a singer, songwriter, guitar player, sound engineer, recording engineer, producer living in my own home. So, yeah. I could also very easily call up Ted Stone, Kurt Connor, Alan McEnany, Pete Jones, a passel of guitar players. If I didn't want to play bass myself, I would call Glenn Smith. If I could call Tony Hargrove, fantastic all-around musician, a drummer, Sam Cavett, I'd have the whole shooting match. And I've also got women I could call to be backup singers, female, and all of those guys can sing that I mentioned before. So I know these people, so I could very easily contact them and say, hey, could you guys come do some of this stuff? Well, however, those guys have lives, and they live in other places, and that's my dog you hear in the background, one of them. And I could call them and say, hey, come record these songs. And they would probably do it, or if they couldn't come to me, they could send me a track via email. I mean, that we have that kind of technology now, because these guys they live in all other places. They've got stuff that they do. And it's this would be the way to go about it if it were possible. The other thing is, though, for their time, which is precious to all of us, and their talent, I would want to compensate them fairly. And they are priceless. Every one of those guys is priceless as far as what their capabilities are and their friendship and all of that stuff. And I would want to pay them a tremendous amount to do that. Well, I don't have that. I don't have that kind of money. I certainly don't make that kind of money with the book. There's no way to compensate for that. And I just don't have that kind of resources. I would love to do it. The other is the return on their own investment, which is not good either. This is not going to be a big bestseller. So that's kind of, I don't have that. I don't have that ability to do that. And we all know, those of us here musicians who have been in a recording studio, and we've done this a long time, it takes a lot of work to create a good recorded musical project, or a product rather. And it could take 2-3 weeks to get it up to the quality that we all would prefer, all those same folks, because none of those guys do anything halfway. And they would probably love to do it. It would be great, it'd be a cool project, but who's got that time? Nobody does. They're raising kids, they're working all that. That's why it took me 21 years to write a book, and then 20 more to get to this point. And that's a discussion for another time. So time is very precious, and I don't want to waste anyone's time. So, one of those things that they have to think about. In this homage to hair metal, which has got kind of a resurgence going on right now. There's younger kids that are actually starting new bands that do this stuff. But in this tome, this band has a song that goes all the way to number 1. It actually boots out, in the story, fictitiously, it boots out Huey Lewis's Power of Love there at the end of the summer of 1985. It doesn't last long on the top of the charts, but it was your typical hair ballad. And that would have been like the only power ballad type song that would have topped the charts at that time. We're still coming in. We haven't come into 86 yet, when everything really, really started to explode and was even more mainstream than it was previously. So that song was their number 1 song. And so I had some lyrics to it, kind of smatterings of lyrics throughout the book. And so the other day, I dug those out of another little notebook I've got laying around over here. And I didn't realize I had a whole song, so I had to kind of piecemeal it together and make it a song, give it a form, and so on and so forth. And it took me a couple of times before I got it to do what I wanted it to in the app that I used for it. And once I got the result I wanted, even though it's not quite like it's described in the book. In fact, I didn't realize I had described it that much in the book, but I was looking through it and it was like, oh, I did actually kind of have a chord progression in there and a key and all that stuff. And I totally forgot about that, but that's okay. So I took what lyrics I had. I told it what voice I wanted. I told it what instrumentation I wanted. I told it when to slow down and when to speed it up and when to do this, that, and the other. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't exactly like I would have heard it or like I had originally thought about it. But I really liked the result I got. Voila. In about 20 minutes, I had this band's number 1 song. And I thought it was really cool. And so, yeah, I used Suno. I used AI to do it. And I thought it was one of the coolest things I'd ever done. I did a lot of prep work. I had to do a lot of stuff ahead of time. I didn't just poke it in there and take what it spit back out. I had to do a lot of other stuff. Because to get it to work like you want it to, you do have to know theory. You do have to know form. You do have to know voice range. You have to know style. You have to know instrumentation. If you want it to really do what you want it to do, you got to know those things. And that I did study. So that I do know. And I like this song so much that I went in and made 3 more that go with the new book in this series that I'm writing right now. And I like them so much, I can't stop listening to them. Yes, they're really great. They're really great. So I'm going to post that song after this video. And I just think it's really cool. I think it's really one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And um, so I, if you like it, that's great. If you don't, well, I didn't hurt anybody. For my own entertainment, it's been a lot of fun. And when I get the next book ready, I'll probably release their whole album, plus the other band's album that's in there. It's been really cool to create some of those things, and you do have to do your homework ahead of time if you really want it to do what you want it to do. So, as far as I'm concerned, um, this is a really cool tool to use for this and for some other things. And the reason why is because of time. Do something now, even if you have to do it this, kind of the way that folks can create things now. I don't necessarily call it a shortcut. I can call it, you know, just what it is. It's just a tool, and it's a really cool tool as far as I'm concerned. Because I figure if a robot's going to create something better than what a human can, I'm kind of all for it because I've seen some stuff lately that's just garbage, and her stuff is garbage. So it's whatever your fancy is. I just know that I've had a lot of fun putting this together. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and post it, and so it's coming up right after this.